What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out a brand new, very powerful, and potentially degenerate field spell that just got revealed coming out of Dark Neostorm. This is a card that, unfortunately, I think is going to add a lot of power to one of the most hated decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. This is Mishoto. It's a field spell, as I said earlier. It's got 3 effects. The first effect says, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, your opponent cannot activate monster effects or declare attacks. Effect number 2 is basically in reverse. If you control more monsters than your opponent, you can't activate monster effects or declare attacks. Effect number 3 is just kind of like to balance things during the end phase. If both players control the same amount of monsters, destroy this card. Okay, so this card actually reminds me a little bit of Chicken Game. It's a card that kind of feels like it punishes your opponent without them really needing to do anything out of the ordinary, but I feel like it just kind of creates a different game state than Chicken Game. That's kind of like the opposite. Chicken Game created this really exciting game state where it was like, who's gonna blink first? Like, I dare you to leave this card on the field. It kind of felt like the duel was being played on a razor's edge. This card feels like it can completely make the duel just an absolute pain in the ass for your opponents and make it incredibly unfun to play in. Like, I look at this card and at first I thought, okay, this card really only works when you're losing. If you have less monsters than your opponent, i.e. you're basically losing the game. But then I thought, what if you just play this in a deck that wasn't really monster reliant? Like, what if you played this in a deck that didn't need its monsters to win the duel? And that's what I thought about, what if you played this in something like Chain Burn? This would basically be a walking True King of all calamities. We know that burn decks are really not reliant on their monster effects to win. They're damn sure not reliant on keeping monsters on the board, especially something like Chain Burn. A lot of their prominent effects are cards like Lava Golem, which they'll summon to your side of the field. Even something like Card D gets itself off the field during the end phase. Other cards like Battle Fader and Swift Scarecrow activate in the hand. They're not really reliant on staying on the board. So I thought about this, right? If you're playing Chain Burn and you go second, if your opponent has any monster on the field, which, let's be real, they're going to have at least one monster on the field, if you activate this instantly becomes True King of all calamities. Your opponent can't activate any monster effects. They can't use the battle phase pretty much at all. It basically locks them out of, well, kind of like playing the game entirely, and they can't even use hand traps to stop like your card of demise. If you activate things like Balance of Judgment, they can't ash you. They can't use, Droll and Lockbird, so it kind of stops that as well. Same thing goes with graveyard effects, and really, what's even more scary about Chain Burn is even if your opponent tries to consolidate their monsters into, I guess, kind of matching you, like let's just say you have one monster on the field because you went first and you have to, keep this card alive by putting a monster on field. Well, guess what? You can just activate something like Ojamatrio. You can force monsters to your opponent's side of the field. We know that Burn has run Ojamatrio forever. Ojamatrio will force your opponent to have more monsters than you, thus they can't even out it. So even if your opponent summons something like a Miluseek, and they're thinking, all right, well, I'll just keep one card on board. I'll attack and I'll try to get rid of it. Nope, Ojamatrio, you got 4 monsters now. No battle phase for you. You can't attack. Nope, no monster effects. It doesn't matter. You can't out this with Nightmare Unicorn or Nightmare, Phoenix in that situation. And really, I think that if you get this card early in the game and it's on board and it kind of sticks, I kind of feel like the burn player is just going to win because you cannot beat a burn deck without activating monster effects, and you damn sure are not going to beat them without using the battle phase. Like, that's just not going to happen in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! And I kind of think that Konami intended on this to be a little bit of a comeback card to help you out if you're losing, but really just play it in a deck that doesn't need to put a lot of monsters on board, and you can kind of stun your opponent out of the entire duel, and you basically have to force them to get to a card like Twin Twister or Heavy Storm Duster. If a Chain Burn player can basically have you do nothing for multiple turns, they're very happy with that, and they know that they're going to win the duel. So whatever you guys think of this card, Mishoto, leave it in the comment section below. This seems like it would be ridiculously strong in Chain Burn, and I honestly think that if somebody gets this on me early and I don't draw any Spell and Trap, I'm just gonna scoop because I'm not gonna sit there and just die a painful death. Like, I'm going to the next game. Let's bring in the Twin Twisters, the Heavy Storm Dusters, because I really think that this card could easily take over a duel. Anyways, whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.